Through this video, we know about the 5 biggest differences between the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds manga and anime. We also have the complete story of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds in the anime. That leaves just one thing missing: knowing how much hairstylists charge for such wild hairstyles. Well, and the story of the manga too. The story begins, of course, with the most important turbo duel. Yusei against Sect, a new character with a name, motorcycle and deck all inspired by insects. Although Sect seems like a lightweight at first and is underestimated by everyone, Yusei knows very well that he's not just a bug to be smashed. With his powerful Poseidon Beetle, he can wield the trident with great force, which can change the crowd's opinion quickly. However, against Yusei's enhanced Synchro Lightning Warrior, the ruler of the seas ends up sinking. Better luck next time. For that, Sect needs new cards, and he wishes for them from none other than the Skull Knight. With a bit of worship, he's on his way. But before granting Sect's wish, he and Yusei encounter an interesting new opponent. The stakes, their very souls. Yusei realizes it was a bad idea as soon as he makes his first draw. The icy breath of death intimidates him from the first minute, and the initial attack makes it clear that this duel is on a whole different level. The dark sense of one isn't exactly humorous for the other. So, Yusei quickly tries to turn the tide by summoning his powerful Synchro Warrior and launching a counterattack. The Apocalyptic Rider finds this intriguing and gives Yusei a taste of his true strength. With Dragon Necro, he not only destroys Yusei's monster, throwing him off balance, but also takes the destroyed monster onto his side and creates a zombie copy on Yusei's field to deal extra damage. This nasty combo, along with the strong dark sense, nearly collapses Yusei's life points and almost takes him down as well. But with Sect believing in him, Yusei can't give up. He draws, quickly combines cards to summon his Lightning Warrior and take the duel back to an equal eye level, even if his opponent doesn't have eyes anymore. The Skull Knight doesn't want to let that slide and tries to end the duel. But not with Yusei. He counters the first attack, and with the second counter, he not only reduces the skeletal opponent to 100 life points, but also brings him to a standstill, which, in a turbo duel in the manga, equals defeat. Yusei wins and the Skull Knight retreats. With one villain out of the way, another one steps up to give Yusei a hard time. The king of turbo duels, Jack Atlas, is on a mission from his father to clean up Satellite. It's actually the worst timing because Yusei needs to get his little friend to the Pokemon Center, but a flash of headlights signals the start of the next duel. Actually, Jack chased and harassed Yusei until he had no other choice. Yusei wanted to finish the duel quickly, but he soon realized that it wouldn't be that simple. Not only does Jack hit hard with his sense, which makes Yusei's seems laughable in comparison, but Yusei's Synchro Monsters are also outclassed in direct confrontation with Jack's Synchro Monsters. The difference between them go far beyond the duel field. While Yusei just wants to save his friend as quickly as possible, Jack doesn't believe in friends. Like in a duel, he thinks life is a battle you have to face alone. Wait a minute, we've seen this mindset before. He doesn't need friends for his duel anyway. With his monster, Jack binds Yusei's hands, preventing him from summoning other Synchro Monsters. Yusei's face down card can't help him either, as his motorcycle breaks before he can activate it. Instead of activating a card and eventually winning the duel, Yusei chooses to save his friend, losing with honor. In the heat of the moment, it is humanity that defines true heroes. Jack notices what happened and, only slightly impressed, goes on to take down more duelists. Just as there is a king of turbo duels, there's also a queen. However, they are neither a couple, nor do they particularly like each other. But Akiza is incredibly strong, as she demonstrates with a rose deck at her school. She learns that Jack is somewhere in the city and immediately gets flashbacks of her first and only defeat. a defeat that also weighs heavily on Yusei. To get a chance at revenge, he receives an invitation to the Grand Duelist Tenkaichi tournament. The winner won't just be the king of games, but the emperor. To compete in the duel, Yusei needs to come up with something new and become stronger. To see where he stands, he tests himself against Akiza in a one-shot duel. Both bring out their strongest monsters, and the one with the stronger sense wins the duel. And while Yusei manages to strike a blow, Akiza cuts down both discs, securing her victory. Yusei realizes he can enhance his sense by pushing his engines harder and increasing his speed to solidify his virtual monster. But it also comes down to timing and distance. So 2 losses in 2 days. That's so exciting! The Grand Duelist Tenkaichi kicks off at full speed. The duelists gather, and Jack makes a grand entrance to provoke everyone a bit, followed by the explanation of the rules. The winner is the one who reduces their opponent's life points to 0, wrecks their motorcycle, or reaches the finish line first. Yusei's first match is against Greiger, but not without some immediate tension, as he shows up just a second before disqualification. His first Synchro Monster gets blown up right away, along with a chunk of his life points. Greiger isn't here for fun either. He wants a rematch against the king who once toppled the undefeated giant and shattered his pride. After an attempted one-turn kill, it's Yusei's turn again. He starts strong with a new Synchro Monster. The 7 Swords Warrior gets some backup and offers Greiger a Gorilla Filet, which chips away at his life points. Despite this, Yusei is still behind and Greiger isn't about to give up. On the contrary, he plays his fusion trump card, aiming to end the duel by throwing Yusei off course with his sense. However, Yusei has prepared well for the tournament, withstands the attack and counters impressively with a new sense, winning the duel. Although Yusei deals real damage to Greiger and his motorcycle with his new sense, it's not yet perfect. Nevertheless, the first winner of the tournament is decided. The next duel is, coincidentally, between Akiza and Sherry. Their schools are not only rivals, but they also have a personal grudge because Akiza turned her back on the elite school for psychics. Yeah, in this manga, Sherry isn't the rich girl next door, but also possesses superpowers. Like the Millennium Eye, she can see her opponent's hand with some effort. Akiza, on the other hand, can only see what she will draw next if she closes her eyes. It's not exactly an ultimate trump card, since she can't influence what she draws. Sherry uses her abilities to completely dismantling Akiza's hand and countering every move with traps and her psychic power. Akiza is reduced to just 800 life points without much of a fight. Despite this, she knows she made the right decision, leaving the snobbish elite school because she found real friends who stand by her at the new school. With their support, she continues the duel blindly, so Sherry can't use her ability, making Akiza's draw safe. She then summons the Rose Sisters to the field, who make short work of Sherry's monsters and her life points. And everything is fine again. Just like Ino and Sakura, the two become best friends again after facing each other in battle. Trudge and Kellen also secure tickets for the next round, just like everyone else who wins the first round matches off screen. Meanwhile, Crow faces a tough opponent in Tanner. Tanner doesn't hold back and starts strong by summoning Machine Blastoise with Mirror Force as backup. But Crow isn't easily intimidated. He brings a few feathers onto the field, allowing him to immediately perform 2 Synchro Summons. This move weakens Blastoise to 0 and neutralizes the trap, allowing him to achieve what Greiger aimed for: a 1-turn kill. And with that, the first round concludes. In the second round, Yusei is back in action, facing off against Hunter, who has no intention of playing fair and plans to win the duel by sabotaging Yusei's bike, causing it to slow down significantly and giving Hunter an easy lead. Confident in his speed advantage, Hunter decides not to take any risks and plays defensively. However, Sect catches Hunter's gang in the act of cheating and, with the power of the Skull Knight, puts an end to their antics. Despite Hunter's strategy to run out the clock, Yusei manages to secure the victory in the final stretch. Using Catapult Warrior and his boosted Junk Blade Fighter, Yusei delivers a devastating blow, dropping Hunter's life points from 4000 to 0 in one strike. Well, at least Hunter tried. Goodwin had initiated the entire tournament to obtain the Card of Darkness and making Jack its new owner. Contrary to what was assumed, it isn't Yusei who possesses the card, but Sect. As Goodwin's son heads out, we get to witness another thrilling duel. This time, it's Akiza facing off against Kellen. Kellen with his good old handless strategy. He discards all his hand cards to immediately deal 2000 damage, then uses effects and attacks to negate Akiza's moves, trapping her. While he sacrifices some of his own life points, he nearly reduces Akiza to 0. She attempts to save herself with her trump card, managing to make some impact, but Kellen trump cards destroys her effect and wipes out her monster, leaving her life points in the single digits. Luckily, there are plenty duels. Jack finds Sect and is determined to squeeze the card out of him. And if Jack really wants it, Sect is willing to fulfill his wish. Yusei tries to stop him, but Sect is so consumed by darkness that he sees Yusei only as an enemy, not a threat. Without hesitation, he summons the King of Dark Dragons, Bills. But actually, this isn't the card Jack expected. Bills' Dark Sense starts snagging at Jack's life points and his body, rendering even Jack's Sense Neutralizer ineffective. Jack retaliates against the new threat, giving Sect a taste of his own sense, but Bills isn't easily destroyed and only grows stronger. And just as the duel reaches its climax, the Skull Knight intervenes, calling off the duel. After all, Sect doesn't look too healthy after using so much of the Dark Sense. And so, the two vanish. Sect didn't have the right card, but Kellen knows exactly what Jack is after. The Red Dragon Archfiend. Unfortunately, he only has a copy of it. He's lucky the dragon isn't as powerful as Ra, otherwise he would be toast. Just like the 6 tournament participants who were eliminated by Leo and Luna outside of regular duels. Now, part 2 of the tournament has begun. A death match on Satellite, where everyone battles to determine the Emperor. Additionally, the Chosen Ones will have the chance to obtain the Dual Dragons. To learn more, Yusei faces off against the twins, who not only radiate a dark aura, but also possess Dual Dragons. On your marks, get set, go! At first, they use some sweet creatures to lull Yusei into a false sense of security, protecting them while accumulating enough stars to summon the Power Tool Dragon. To keep up, Yusei also goes for a Synchro Summon and enhances it, but Power Tool Dragon quickly turns that strength to its advantage. Yusei manages to deal some damage, injuring Luna and angering her brother Leo. He doesn't hold back, goes full berserk and tweaks every screw of the Power Tool Dragon, making it even stronger and decapitating Yusei's warrior. Yusei is left with only 200 life points. However, Leo's field, now being full of cards, plays right into Yusei's hands. His Gravity Warrior gains a nice bonus from it. And instead of just attacking, Yusei gathers as much sense as possible to cause maximum damage. Leo protects his sister from all harm while Yusei learns about their past. They were poor, but managed to get by together, at least until Luna got sick and Leo realized he couldn't do it alone. So he had to embrace the dark powers to keep his sister from dying. And with a heartfelt farewell, they part ways until the next duel. On their way to Satellite, Goodwin fills them in on Brooke's cousin. This sinister figure corrupts duelists with hatred in their hearts, aiming to plunge the world into chaos. That's why Goodwin generously initiated the tournament to find opponents worthy of wielding dual dragons. But they come with a dangerous power, the power of darkness, as the dragons were once used to seal it away. Even though Yusei doesn't trust Goodwin at all, he sees this as his only chance to save his friend. Upon arriving at Satellite, which happens to be none other than the island of the former Duel Academy, the duelists immediately prepare for part 2 of the tournament. They need to collect at least 12 star cards to pass through the gate and proceed. Thanks to Goodwin's tip, Yusei has a clear target in his mind. Star card 4, where he faces one of the toughest opponents yet. This is going to be the ultimate synchro duel. Right from the start, Yusei kicks things off with an immediate synchro summon, prompting Crow to follow suit. This allows Yusei to bring another synchro monster to the field, only for Crow to retaliate and even trump with the third synchro monster. One of Yusei's monsters bites the dust, but he manages to save the other and launch a counterattack. However, it doesn't have much effect as Crow's monster is back in action. Crow can't afford to lose because he promised his little brother Yoshi that he would win the duel if Yoshi's operation went well. It's a close call as Yusei heats things up with his lightning warrior. Crow revives his monster Sungjin Wu style, but at the cost of a significant chunk of his life points. Crow powers up his monster and attacks Yusei, who boosts his monster in return, aiming to defeat Crow. Crow counters with a trap, seemingly securing his victory, until Yusei uses the exact same trap to turn the tide back in his favor, getting the win. Despite this victory, the tournament is far from over for Crow. He still has time to collect cards with a total of 12 stars to move forward. But first, Yusei receives his star card 4 as a reward for his victory, along with a special meeting with the Stardust dragon. This requires a journey back in time for a ceremony. If he wins a one-shot duel against the Guardian with the Stardust dragon and doesn't succumb to the darkness, he is deemed worthy and the dragon is tamed. It was a very close call, but Yusei didn't back down. He realizes that beneath the fierce exterior of the Stardust dragon lies deep pain. So instead of delivering the final blow, Yusei takes an unconventional approach. He stops his attack and chooses to take on the dragon's suffering, intending to use its power for good. The dragon consumes Yusei as a small snack, which turns out to be the key to solving the puzzle. So Yusei has a new main card and a new friend. The next duelists are ready. Kellen and Jack, who were once held on this island and forced to duel to determine the next dual dragon holder. Back then, Kellen intentionally lost because he was afraid of leaving and losing his friends. Jack won the Red Dragon Archfiend, but Kellen noticed how the card influenced Jack and took it from him. Jack was already arrogant before, but the card made it even worse. This time, Kellen is serious about the duel and gives Jack his Dual Dragon as he already has his own. Jack wastes no time testing out his new card within the first 2 turns. The Red Dragon Archfiend immediately drops Kellen's life points to 0, which was Kellen's plan to summon his Dual Dragon. Though his mind is clouded by darkness, his dueling skills remain sharp. Kellen's dragon launches a direct attack on Jack, who feels the impact despite his sense neutralizer. Using his cardless hand strategy, Kellen pushes Jack into a corner with effects from the graveyard that Jack can't counter. Except with the most plot armor card ever. Jack uses a quick play spell card to activate Red Dragon's Archfiend's effect, which destroys not the monsters on the field, but those in the graveyard. With no more effects to protect Kellen, Jack powers up his dragon to 6500 for the grand finale. With this victory, Jack expels the darkness from Kellen and taps into Kellen's thoughts, much like Yusei has done before. He learns that Kellen stole the Red Dragon Archfiend to protect his friends and Jack. Kellen even wanted to give Jack his dragon, but Jack has another idea. He wants to duel Kellen again soon. Oh, and he knows about the real purpose of the tournament. The Skull Rider stops by to inform Yusei that Sect, modeled after Jaden's Supreme King, is waiting for him. However, Yusei can only reach him if he passes through the gate. All duelists are merely pawns on the field. The more the dual dragons are used, the closer the ultimate god comes to its rebirth. A rebirth desired by none other than Rex Goodwin. Dueling is happening all over the island. Yusei crushes his next opponent and gains 2 more stars, leaving him with 6 more to collect. He could have had 7, but didn't take his opponent's star. Crow faces bigger challenges. He aims to get the 12-star card, but first must defeat his shadow self. On top of that, he would also receive a dual dragon. Luna and Leo just won the 7-star card after defeating Trudge. Next, they get orders from their boss Goodwin to take care of Yusei, so they meet at the 6-star card and immediately start dueling. This time they are in Fairyland thanks to a field spell card. First, battle damage is halved, which benefits Luna and Leo, and then it's doubled, which Yusei doesn't really like. Leo tries everything to prevent Luna from summoning her dual dragon, but it's quickly outmatched by Yusei's newly tamed Stardust dragon. Leo isn't strong enough, so Yusei must help Luna. Stardust dragon's attack cleanses the darkness from people's hearts, restoring them to normal. But the duel isn't over yet. Luna takes over from her brother and continues the duel. She brings back the scrap and even summons her own dragon, but it's becoming too much for her body. They need to get rid of her dragon, but it's continuously defended. Even when it's destroyed once, it's not enough. So Yusei destroys it a second time, ending the duel. Both are back to normal, even able to laugh again, and Yusei earns the ticket past the gate. While they laugh, another faces trouble. Crow, who is dueling his shadow self. His shadow self with the black-winged dragon. Unlike Yusei, who took down another duelist along the way, he isn't the first to reach the gate. Another no-name duelist managed to collect more stars than necessary and got in first, where the final boss, Goodwin, awaits in his fresh new outfit. But Goodwin isn't alone. He has Akiza by his side, having given her a dual dragon that opened her eyes to the past. It turns out Goodwin is a partner with the Skull Rider, who is none other than Goodwin's older brother, seemingly on a very long diet. 5,000 years ago, they tried to resurrect the ultimate god, but it didn't quite work out. Now they are trying it again. Each of them puts forth their duel list. Goodwin chooses Akiza, while Skull Rider sends in Sect. Sect wastes no time summoning builds in the first round. Akiza remains confident, as she has to be, since no one stands behind her. Goodwin wants her to lose, as it's part for the ceremony. Unfazed, she summons her Black Rose Dragon, sending builds back to the extra deck and dealing direct damage. Victory seems within reach until Sect blocks an attack and turns the duel around by bringing builds back to the field. But that's not enough for Sect. It's time to Digivolve and summon an even more powerful dragon. This new dragon absorbs the Black Rose Dragon, gaining life points, which ultimately doesn't matter because it destroys Akiza with ease. The tournament duelists are also busy, especially those who have passed through the gate, as they face Lazar. He defeats one after another, pulling a Pegasus move to eventually build a deck with cards only from players. Actually, they are meant to be fodder for the ultimate god, except for Yusei and Jack, who managed to pass through. With Akiza's defeat, the ultimate god seems to awaken, and the four are beamed up by the ritual with a negation. Jack moves ahead and waits at the top for Yusei, who is still held up by Lazar. He only gave Yusei a ticket because he was with Sect, but now Lazar wants to take his dual dragon in a duel to be of even greater help for Goodwin. Yeah, maybe another time. Crow, who won his duel against his shadow self and got through the gate, also received a dual dragon. So Yusei moves ahead while Crow duels Lazar, who doesn't play with synchro monsters at all. He's still running the ritual gimmick. It's supposed to be even stronger than a dual dragon, which Crow is eager to test out by summoning his black-winged dragon on his first turn. And as one would expect from a mime, Lazar simply copies the black-winged dragon. The difference is, his copy cannot be destroyed in battles with synchro monsters. So basically, Lazar's deck is a synchro killer, which should give him a clear advantage over Crow's quick synchro deck. Which it is. But having dueled against his shadow self, Crow finds a copy to be less challenging. He brings back the black-winged dragon, enhanced, blocks the mime's effect, and brings a swift end to Lazar. The light pillar vanishes. It's time to release the captured souls, even if it means using force. With Sect's victory over Akiza, that little mantis becomes the king of the Earth Castle. To challenge him, Yusei must win 2 duels, becoming the king of the Sky Castle. His first duel is against none other than the Skull Rider. Meanwhile, stepfather and stepson battle it out on the other side. Goodwin, of course, uses synchro monsters. A synchro duel? Jack is ready! The mighty Sith strikes again, but it's just a bait. Goodwin activates an effect that could knock Jack out, unless Jack sacrifices the Sith for his red dragoned Archfiend, which can clear some of the chaos. But the synchro duel has just begun. Goodwin gets 5 monsters on the field, which he synchronizes into his trump card. Goodwin's very own Dual Dragon. It has an effect similar to Slifer's, but without the second mouth. Instead, it can dissolve back into individual parts as a secondary effect, disrupting Jack's tactics. It's a bit unfair not knowing the full effect of the card. The Red Dragon Archfiend barely saves Jack's life points. He quickly launches a counterattack, and with the trusty Sith, he temporarily blocks the Dual Dragon. But a quick play spell card reverses the situation. Without cards in hand, Goodwin's monster is weakened, a tribute to Kellen's Zero Hand combo. So Goodwin counters this and draws 12 cards. But Jack doesn't give up and puts all his faith in his next draw. With that, he counters Goodwin's attack and manages to drag Goodwin down with him. On the other side, Yusei just managed to get rid of the Dual Dragon from the Riding Jolly Roger when another vision appeared. It revealed that Goodwin had killed his older brother and his wife. But enough playing around. No, the real big boss steps onto the field, throwing Yusei off balance just a bit. Only Stardust Dragon and the knowledge that he is so close to his goal can help him now. The imposing Boldy McBoldface would win in the next turn thanks to his monster's effect, but it's still Yusei's turn. He puts everything on his next draw, pulls the card, and immediately launches a combo to boost Stardust Dragon to 10,000 attack points. This convinces the Skull Rider that Yusei is the one he's been searching for all this time, and he acknowledges his defeat. Time to clear everything up. The Skull Rider is none other than Roman Goodwin, the older stepbrother of Rex Goodwin. They fought through life together and eventually found themselves part of the Goodwin family by chance. Their foster mother, who was also their sister, didn't quite make it, leading the 2 stepbrothers to become dual priests in a bid to bring their mother's sister back. Years passed, and during the ritual, they did manage to bring her back. As a welcome present, she was greeted with a spear to the stomach, which she shared with brother Roman. Since then, Roman has been a skeleton and her corpse remains in the temple. So all their hopes now rest on Yusei, so that the 2 souls can finally find peace. To become the king of the Sky Castle, Yusei must defeat the winner of the other duel, which ended in a tie. So he must face the last survivor, Jack. But before that can happen, Sect arrives on his new motorcycle, insisting on dueling Yusei alone to free him from the darkness. Jack steps aside, recognizing that Sect is Yusei's friend, not his. Yusei attempts the same tactic he used in their first duel, but he soon realizes he can't take it lightly because Akiza feels every pain Yusei suffers in the duel. So he switches to a more aggressive strategy. However, it's not easy, because Sect has developed the cross sense with Yusei and knows his weaknesses. Sect weakens the damage and counters with builds, powered by the darkness, causing Yusei to suffer actual cuts. Sect was the one who brought Yusei out of loneliness. Despite not being the best duelist and often losing, Sect always valued friendship over victory. Yusei wants to repay this by bringing Sect to his senses with Stardust Dragon. Sect remains stubborn, leveling up builds once again. With its immense power, Yusei would have been defeated if he hadn't revealed 2 keycards. Yusei powers up Stardust Dragon, making his sense so strong that it creates a doppelganger of Yusei, capable of shattering the darkness. Or can he? Yes, he can. But the duel isn't over yet, even as the darkness starts to take form. They decide to continue and end the duel with as much light sense as possible. Sect tries it again with Poseidon, but Yusei's Lightning Warrior overpowers it. With a clash of light sense, Sect loses the duel and the darkness fades away. Jack saves Akiza and the story ends on a hopeful note, with friendship triumphing over darkness. The ultimate god hasn't vanished so easily. Instead, Goodwin has absorbed it, gaining new strength and finally achieving his goal after 5,000 years. Now he only needs to absorb the power of all duelists and their cards into a blank card to create the ultimate card. Yusei is the only one who hasn't lost his cards and power, making him the perfect candidate to test this new card. The final turbo duel begins with Goodwin on a jet motorcycle. Goodwin not only has a new card, but an entirely new deck. So Yusei wastes no time summoning Stardust Dragon, but it doesn't have much effect. Goodwin counters with a level 0 Synchro Summon, bringing out the ultimate god, the Crimson Dragon. Along with it comes his other dual dragon. It's not looking good for Yusei, but he refuses to give up. Yusei powers up with light wings and launches a counterattack, eliminating one dual dragon only for more to appear. Jack's Red Archfiend and Akiza's Black Rose Dragon. Stardust Dragon is sent back, then Black Rose Dragon is destroyed, leaving Red Dragon Archfiend to finish Yusei. But Stardust Dragon returns just in time to save his ass. Red Dragon Archfiend is sacrificed, bringing the remaining 3 dual dragons into play. They systematically wear down Yusei and Stardust Dragon. The duel seems lost, with Yusei on the brink of despair. But his tears of hopelessness steer Stardust Dragon into action, breaking the chains of the other dual dragons, causing them to switch sides. Wait, what? Everyone prays for Yusei and suddenly all the ancient priests stands against the Crimson Dragon and Goodwin, just as they did in the past. Stardust Dragon activates a hidden effect, downgrades the other dual dragons, and, as a secret tuner monster, it synchronizes with them to achieve its ultimate form. This shows Jack that friends can elevate you to a new level and that they are indeed important. Goodwin, not to be outdone, creates new effects. His monster's attack points match those of Yusei's ultimate monster, plus he can destroy a face down card. But this is countered and sent back, destroying the Crimson Dragon once and for all. Flashback: Rex once had a one-turn duel with Ish and tried everything to bring her back to the good side. After all, she gave him his name. To help her, he accepted the power of the ultimate god. But even with the Crimson Dragon gone, the duel isn't over. Quite the opposite. The ultimate god completely takes over Goodwin. So it's time to get serious. He activates a trap card, summoning 2 well-known monsters, although slightly weakened. But they are just fodder for summoning the true ultimate god. This god casts a piercing gaze that needs to be deflected, yet its presence on the field only makes it stronger. The redirected attack is met with an unbreakable defense, which also shoots back at all opponents' monsters, dealing 200 damage for each one. What didn't even weaken him? Yusei's field is immediately filled with new eyes. Using a spell card, Yusei sacrifices one eye after another, using the dual dragons to destroy each eye, summoning Stardust Dragon, power it up, and finally deal some real damage. But it's not over yet. Another spell card and a final attack later, Yusei brings an end to it all, allowing Rex to finally be reunited with his family. And because Yusei completed the ritual, he is granted a wish. How about some anime references? But Yusei's wish is clear. Turbo duels should continue to be exciting, and he wants to keep having fun with his new friends. Yusei and Jack let their engines for the final showdown running. Jack takes it calmly, while Yusei goes all out right from the start. Yusei clears Jack's field with 3 synchro summons and powers up his Stardust Dragon. However, Stardust hits a wall against Jax's Red Dragon Archfiend, which evolves and deals significant damage. It's time for Jack to spread his wings and continually power up his dragon. Both duelists manage to evolve their dragons further, clearing each other's fields in the process. But the normal versions of their dragons return to the field, setting the stage for a perfect one-shot duel. Yusei bets it all on his spell card and the duel reaches its climax. With Yusei emerging as a winner, he becomes the official Duel Emperor and continues to enjoy tearing apart opponents in turbo duels. The end.